Last video, we thought that as jurors in a jury trial, we ordinary people could very well find, as finder of fact, that ghosts are real, they exist, given the evidence offered to us. But that finding leads to an urgent and alarming question. You mean there is no perfect and foolproof system that handles our souls when we die? You mean I could be one of them ghosts, stuck in a limbo in between dimensions, not even realizing that I am a ghost for hundreds of years? Oh my God! Well, if you have seen the movie The Sixth Sense, directed by an Indian director named M. Night Shyamalan, I think, and Bruce Willis played the ghost in that movie. He does not realize that he's a ghost and that he's dead until like halfway into the movie. You know what I'm talking about. So today, let's think about this terrifying phenomenon. Fellow discombobulated, disconcerted, and befuddled average people lost in our spiritual journeys. Welcome to Average Man's Spiritual Quest. I'm your host, Benedict. If you enjoy talking about our confusions on this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like and notification buttons. First of all, what does Christianity say about this particular problem? Well, Christianity says, as far as I know, that when we die, we are judged. And if we accepted Jesus during life, repented, and have been good, etc., in other words, if we satisfy a certain condition, then we're sent to heaven. If not, we're sent to hell. But nobody has explained to me over the years what happens to us if neither is the case. Oh, Catholic Church has a concept called purgatory. Although I personally have never heard of any priest delivering a sermon on purgatory in the masses that I attended in my life. Well, be that as it may, purgatory is where if you don't quite make it to heaven right off the bat, you go there to repent and pray until you are accepted into heaven. But I don't know what happens if you don't quite qualify for heaven despite your prayer and whatnot, and whether you get to be sent to hell, small administrative details like that. But be that as it may, the purgatory is not necessarily a quiet place like a cloister in a monastery. Some say that fire is used there to cleanse us. I assume that to mean being burnt alive, just like in hell. Oh, purgatory can be just as scary as hell, I guess. I don't know why Christianity has this thing about burning us alive all the time. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I digressed. Coming back to what we're talking about, I, for one, have never encountered a straightforward explanation from Christianity whether the system that handles our souls when we die is administered with absolute accuracy, sort of like electronic grading of SAT tests or something. Or some or many would fall through the cracks and because the system is rickety and get stuck in a limbo in between dimensions, i.e. ghosts. Well, to be fair, I've never personally heard any Christian categorically claim that the system is perfect either. So, what does Hinduism and Buddhism say about this particular problem? Hinduism and Buddhism share the concepts of samsara, reincarnation, karma, karma very well, among other things. You know what samsara is? One dies and the soul stays in afterlife somewhere for some period of time, apparently all different depending on the individual. I'm talking about the length of time. And then you are reborn. And karma, the things that you thought and did in your previous lives, determine the fate in your next. Speaking of fate, by the way, Koreans speak of destiny type 1 called 운명 and destiny type 2 called 숙명. Type 1 says things are determined but to a certain extent can be altered based on your effort. type 2, certain big flow of your life is absolutely determined, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, if you think about it, I don't know why Western philosophy does not use this distinction. Maybe they do. I just don't remember from my philosophy days in college. This is a fairly interesting way of reconciling some of the difficulties that you encounter regarding the one-dimensional concept of destiny that we normally encounter in Western philosophy. Coming back to what we're talking about, in either of these two Asian religions, Hinduism and Buddhism, I, for one, have not heard of a system of judgment. For instance, in Vedism, as opposed to everyday street-level Hinduism, I don't know of a supreme being judging us and sending us either to heaven or hell. But in Buddhism, at least in the Mahayana Buddhism prevalent in China and Korea, they speak of heaven and hell. But even there, I don't remember a specific immutable teaching as to whether we get judged each time we die in our cycle of samsara or at the end of our last reincarnation. Oh, by the way, I just used the expression last reincarnation. I don't remember a unified explanation which all sects of Buddhism agree upon as to just how many times we reincarnate in samsara, or whether we reincarnate forever and ever, or we reincarnate a certain number of times, say 100 times. In New Age religion and theosophy, though, perhaps citing Hinduism, tell us that we reincarnate somewhere around 70 to 90 times, depending on individuals. And the purpose of all that reincarnation is for our souls to evolve so that it can be happily absorbed back in the cosmic spirit, which is ultimately the universe itself. Well, if you ask me, I can't shake off a feeling that this explanation is the kindest and makes most sense from a common sense perspective. But that's just me. Coming back to our point, though, even the Hinduism and Buddhism system that handles our souls when we die have the same problem as the Christian system does, doesn't it? In other words, even in Hindu-Buddhist system, we hear of ghosts who are not accounted for and lost in limbo. Here, when we're talking about the Buddhist system in particular, we're reminded of the famous and revered Tibetan book called the Book of the Dead. You probably have heard of it. This book is, in effect, a operation manual for people gathered around a deceased person in helping his soul to go to where it deserves. Let me explain. A newly deceased soul is almost always unaware that it is now dead, at least at first. And it really, really panics. And at this stage, it is very easy for the soul to get stuck in the dreaded limbo. So the alive people surrounding the dead body need to do chanting and such things to calm the deceased and ease him to where he deserves to go according to his karma. But do you see the logical problem even here? Just the fact that we did a book like the Book of the Dead necessarily implies that the system that governs the deceased souls is not a perfect and foolproof automated system. That's a scary thought. And this much is in common with that of Christianity, isn't it? Now, lastly, let's talk about what shamanism has to say about all this. In particular, the Korean variety of shamanism, because among shamanisms, that's what I know best. Oh, I hate the word shamanism. I think I said this a couple of times already. It is so disrespectful, but for lack of better words, I'll continue to use it until I can think of a better word. Now, as far as I know, Korean shamanism has developed over the millennia as the claims and practices of the spiritual mediums with spiritual powers intermixed with the teachings and practices of Mahayana Buddhism. By the way, I find this melting pot, this mixing, totally understandable and even rational. Let me explain. Hinduism claims that those who reach moksha, enlightenment, through intense meditation, perhaps involving ascetic practices, develop the third eye, and having developed it, now can perceive all the dimensions of reality that ordinary people cannot. And as such, they teach such observations about souls, afterlife, reincarnation, karma, etc., to ordinary people to help them with their own lives and with their own pursuit of moksha. Okay, so that's what Hinduism and Buddhism says. Meanwhile, what does Shamanism say? Shamanism claims that the mediums with spiritual powers, whether through possession by spirits, either voluntarily or involuntarily, can perceive other spirits, future destiny, and such other things. And by disclosing such secrets to ordinary people, the mediums help the ordinary people to navigate their lives full of uncertainty, perils, and tragedies. In other words, Hinduism, Buddhism on the one hand, and Korean shamanism on the other have the same methodologies, if you will. It's just that their observational powers come from different sources. Of course, whether you choose to believe any of them or to consider them all fraudsters is really up to you on an individual basis. And here's the point that I've been driving toward. Shamanism in particular appears to be coming from a position that the system that handles our spirits when we die is inherently not a foolproof automated system. And that's why the mediums or shamans are providing a very valuable service to ordinary people by availing them the information on afterlife, destiny, and other such things that ordinary people are otherwise not privy to. During all this discussion today, did you come across this observation or insight? I think this may be a very, very important insight indeed. Christianity offers us salvation if we meet certain conditions, i.e. accept Jesus as Savior and follow 10 Commandments and other things. Hinduism and Buddhism do not quite prefer such conditional salvation, but do say that if you don't want to end up with disastrous karma, you better behave with certain moral guidelines. But shamanism, on the other hand, generally refrain from moral teachings altogether. Interesting, isn't it? Now, this observation naturally leads to another very interesting observation or insight. Christianity seems to imply that God has set up this system that handles the disposition of our souls when we die, and God personally administers and processes such disposition. When he's too busy, I'm sure he asks Peter to stand in for him. On the other hand, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Shamanism seem to imply that the disposition of souls upon death is but a part of cosmic nature. And this cosmic nature has natural laws governing everything in it, just as the nature in our third dimension does. But that does not mean that any one entity, God or anyone else for that matter, has the job and responsibility of handling the case of your individual soul with guarantee of safety and accuracy. Now, this difference appears to be one of the core differences to me between Abrahamic religions, including Christianity, on the one hand, and the Asian religions on the other. Food for thought, eh? Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.